Hey guys, we are back with the last section of chapter 2. We are on 2.4, where we will continue to talk about using sets and Venn diagrams. Now we are using these Venn diagrams to solve problems. So let's just go ahead and jump right on in. In 2015, there were 40 states that had some form of casino gambling in the state. 44 states that sold lottery tickets of some kind, and 36 states that had both casinos and lotteries. Draw a Venn diagram to represent the survey results and find how many states have only casino gambling, how many states have only lotteries, and how many states have neither. Okay, so let's go ahead and start by labeling this: gambling, lottery, region 1, region 2, region 3. And the first thing we need to do is figure out what's in common in both sets. Well, in our problem, it says 36 had both. So if 36 had both, I know that should go in the middle because that's the intersection of both. Now, in order to figure out how many had gambling only, I'm going to subtract that 36 from 40, and that's where I get my 4. And then to figure out how many had lottery only, I'm going to subtract 44 and 36 and get 8. And then to figure out how many had neither, which will be my region 4, I'm going to take how many states we have in total, which is 50, and subtract how many I have here. 36 plus 4 is 40, plus 8 is 48. So that leaves me with 2 there. So how many states have only casino gambling? 4. How many states have only lotteries? 8. And how many states have neither? 2. Okay? Quick and easy solution to that problem. All right, let's go to a more advanced problem. In a survey published in the Journal of the American Academy of Dermatologists, 500 people were asked by random telephone dialing whether they have a tattoo, a piercing, or both. Oh, sorry, I'm reading what's not there. A tattoo or a body piercing. Of these, 79 reported having a tattoo only. So here, tattoo only, 79 is going to go there. 31 reported having a piercing only, so that's going to go there. And 151 reported having at least one of the two. That means that when I add all 3 of those parts together, I need it to add up to 151. So I can take my 79 plus 31 and get 110. And then I can subtract that 110 and 151, because that's what it's telling me, had both, and get 41, and that's going to be in my middle. Okay, that's my intersection. All right, now I need to figure out my neither out here, right? Part 4, and to do that, I need to take my total people surveyed minus the total people here, which was 151. And I get 349. So that's 349 have neither. All right. Now that I got all my numbers filled in, it says to find the percentage of the respondents that have a tattoo. So percentage, that means I'm going to have to do a little extra math here. Tattoo people are 79 plus 41. Remember, tattoo is the whole circle. Tattoo only is 79. Tattoo together will be 79 plus 41. Okay, and I get 120 there. Now to find the percentage, I'm going to have to take 120 out of the total people surveyed, which was 500. Divide those, and then we get 24%. Okay, divide that, multiply by 100. And then it says how many people have a piercing. So that will be 41 plus 31, which is 72. Once again, out of the number of people surveyed, giving me about 14.4%. How many have both? Well, we just said both is what lies in the middle. So that's 41 out of 500. Do the math and you get about 8.2%. And then how many have neither? That's that 349 out of 500. And this is where we divide, and once we get our number there, we multiply by 100 and we get 69.8%. Okay. So we've just answered all of those questions. And this one was a little different from the first one because in this one we didn't start with the both. We had to figure out the both from looking at the other numbers that we had. So we start with what we know. All right, let's move on up to another problem. A criminal justice major is studying the frequency of certain types of crimes in a nearby county. He studies the arrest records of 300 inmates at the county jail, specifically asking about drug-related offenses, domestic violence, and theft of some sort. He finds that 194 had been arrested for theft, 210 had been arrested for drug offenses, and 170 for domestic violence. In addition, 142 had arrests for both theft and drugs, 111 for both drugs and domestic violence, 91 for both theft and domestic violence, and 45 have been arrested for all three. Draw a Venn diagram to represent these results and find the number of inmates that have been arrested for each one of those listed. Okay, so let's go ahead and label our Venn diagram. Theft, drugs, and domestic violence. All right, so step 1, the only regions we know for sure from the given information is region 5. Now, let me just go ahead and relabel these for you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then remember, this is 8. Okay, the only part we know for sure is region 5, okay? That's where the inmates were arrested for all three. So that middle part will be that 45. Very first part. All right, next, there are 142 inmates with arrests for both theft and drugs, but we have to subtract the number arrested for all three offenses to find the number in region 2. So we're looking for the number in region 2, and in order to find that, we have to take what we know, which was 142 for both theft and drugs, and subtract that 45 that we were already given. And we end up with 97. All right. So we're going to keep working our way around. The same way we can do 91 minus 45 because that 91 goes with both theft and domestic violence. So I'm working my way backwards. And I can also find the drugs and domestic violence. So I'm looking for the two parts now, which are sections 4, 2, and 6. So 91 minus 45, which gives me 46. And then I'm looking for 111 minus 45, which gives me 66. All right, next I need to find the number of elements in regions 1, 3, and 7. Okay, there were 194 inmates arrested for theft, but there were 194 inmates arrested for theft total. So we need to take our 97 plus 45 plus 46 to get 188. So those are the people that are already accounted for. So we want to take those away. Sorry about that. Let me see, go back. Okay, so we have 188 already accounted for in the diagram. So that leaves 6 in region 1. And where do we get that 6 from? Because we are taking the total for theft, losing my spot, 194. 194 minus 188. It's a lot of going back and forth here. So I'm looking at my notes, so I'm not changing the screen, but I also need you guys to know where I'm getting these numbers from. 6. Okay, so this was this number here. 194 had been arrested for theft. But remember, we have to subtract that 188 because that was 1, 2, and 3. That's where the 188 came from. Sorry, not that one. Because we were only looking at theft. Now we're only looking at drugs. This part right here. So we need to look at that 97, 45, and 66 just for drugs. 97 plus 45 plus 66, which gives us 208. Now I can subtract that 208 from that 210 to leave me with 2. And I'm going to do the same thing for the last part. But remember, now I have to take this 46 plus 45 plus 66 to get 157. That's these 3 parts as part of domestic violence, and subtract that from the 170 total we had. 170 minus 157. And that leaves us with 13. So this will be 13. Okay, so I'm almost done here. I need to also find my universal. Okay, so I need to add up all the numbers that I have. 6 plus 97 plus 2 plus 46 plus 45 plus 66 plus 13. And that gives me 5, 7, 275. And then I need to subtract that from my total people surveyed, which was 300. So 300 minus 275 equals 25. So this section has 25. Okay, so let's go back and look at where these numbers came from. So I know that was a little shaky. We started with the innermost section, which was here. Okay, part 5, because it tells us that 45 have been arrested for all 3. So from this arrest for all 3, I'm actually working my way backwards. I'm actually going to work my way backwards. I start with the arrest from all 3, and I have 45. Okay? And then I can say, all right, in addition, I had the 142 for both theft and drugs. So now I'm looking for theft and drugs. I know I had 142, but I have to take away this 45 from that. And that's what we did here. And that's how we ended up with this 97. And then we had 111 for both drugs and domestic violence. So drugs and domestic violence. I had 111, but once again, I still had this 45 that I had to subtract. And that's how I ended up with this 66 here. Okay, now I had to look for 91 for theft and domestic violence. So theft and domestic violence, notice how those two are connected here. Okay, so you're looking for where they're connected at. So I already have the 45 there. So I'm going to take that 91 minus the 45, and that's how I end up with my 46. Okay, so now I have these 3 numbers plus the center, which was 45. I am able to do more math to figure out just my theft. Okay, if we go back to the problem, it tells me that 194 had been arrested for theft. Well, I already have the 97, 45, and 46 of that 197. So, of that 194. And that's what we did there. We had to subtract this number from that total. Okay, and then I did the same thing for the next one. 97, 45, and 66, because now I'm just looking for drugs, and I have to subtract that 208 from 210. Here it tells me 210 who are just drug, and then 170 for just domestic violence. So I do the same thing. Okay, so this one I worked my way backwards. All right, so let's see if we can answer the questions. To represent these results and find the number of inmates that have been arrested for. So for drug-only offenses, we are looking here. Just drugs. That's only this part. So that's 2. Theft and domestic violence, but not drugs. Theft and domestic violence, but not drugs. So that's region 4, which is 46. Theft and domestic violence, that's here where these two meet, but not drugs. So that's 46. Then it says theft or drugs. So those arrested for either theft or drugs are all in all regions except for 7 and 8. They're in all regions except for 7 and 8. So there are only 13 plus 25 of those, which equals 38, that weren't arrested for at least one of those. So we can really take that 300 and minus that 38. Okay, we got the 38. If you take the 2 that don't count, that's the 13 plus the 25. That's how we get the 38. So those are the ones that weren't arrested for it. So we can just take 300, which was our total, minus that 38 to get 262. In other words, that's the total of everything else without sitting and adding it up. And then it says the total for none of these offenses. Well, that was only 25 inmates who were surveyed, who haven't been arrested for any of those offenses. And those are the people outside of our Venn diagram. All right. One more. Stepping up one more time. Okay, if you need to take a break, take a pause, and make sure you understood how we just did this last problem, because something similar will happen in this next problem. All right, 3 of the most dangerous risk factors for heart attack are high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and smoking. In a survey of 690 heart attack survivors, 62 had only high cholesterol among those 3 risk factors, 36 had only smoking, and 93 had only high blood pressure. There were 370 total with high cholesterol, 159 with high blood pressure and cholesterol that did not smoke, and 23 that smoked and had high cholesterol but did not have high blood pressure. Finally, 585 had at least one risk factor. Draw a Venn diagram representing this information and use it to answer the following questions. All right, let's start with our Venn diagram, okay? This problem is a little different from the previous because we're not given the number of people in the intersection of all 3 sets. The good news is that we're actually given the exact number in 5 different regions. Okay, it tells us that we have 62 only high cholesterol, which is region 3. We have 36 only smoking, which is region 1. We have 93 only high blood pressure, which is region 7. And we have 159 with high blood pressure and cholesterol, but no smoking, which is region 6. And we have 23 with high cholesterol and smoking, but not high blood pressure, which is region 2. So they give us a lot of exacts. Let's go ahead and label this first. Let's label this smoking, cholesterol, and blood pressure. I should have used a darker color. All right. So, as we said, we have 62 only high cholesterol. So 62 only cholesterol goes there. And then we have 36 only smoking. goes here. And then we have 93, only high blood pressure, goes here. We have 159 with high blood pressure and cholesterol, but no smoking. So high blood pressure and cholesterol, but no smoking, that goes here. And then we have 23 with high cholesterol and smoking, but not high blood pressure. So that's cholesterol and smoking only, not blood pressure. And then we have, was that it? Yep, that was it. Okay. All right, that was all 5 pieces that they gave us. All right, so now we can go on to try to figure out these other couple of sections that we have left. There are 370 total with high cholesterol, as the problem tells us. 370 total with high cholesterol. So if we're only looking at high cholesterol, I have that 23 plus 62 plus 159, 1424. Okay, so that gives us 244 total. So in order to figure out this little missing part here in the middle, I can go ahead and take that 370 and subtract that 244. 370 because that was my total of cholesterol, and this is still part of that cholesterol. Okay, and then I end up with 621. So I get 126 that goes there. Try to keep this one as neat as possible. All right. Now I need the last piece of information. We have 585 with at least one risk factor. Okay, this will allow us to find the remaining 2 regions. All of the numbers currently in the diagram add up to, gotta add them up, 499. That's what I got. So if I add everything up, 36, all of those up, you should get 499. So then I want to take my total, which was the 585 that had at least one risk factor, which means they're all a part of the Venn diagram, and subtract that 499 from there. And we get 86. So now we have 690, which was our total people surveyed, minus that 585 with at least one, which means all the people that we have total, and we get 105, which leaves us here. Okay, lots of math, lots of work. Okay, but once again, we were lucky enough that they gave us 5 of those sections already. We just had to do a little math to figure out the other ones. And this one was the 86. Okay. All right. Now I think we are able to answer our questions. How many survivors had all 3 risk factors? Well, if we're looking for all 3 risk factors, we're looking for section 5, which is 126. That's where all 3 of the Venn diagram circles match up. Okay. Part B says, how many had exactly 2 of the 3 risk factors? Well, 2 of the 3 will be regions 2, regions 4, and region 6. Those show 2 of the 3. So we can take those numbers and add them up. 23, 86, and 159, 18, 16, 268. How many had none? Well, if we look at region 8, we see that 105 people had none. So that's 105. And then what percentage were smokers? So I need to just look at my smoker circle, which is here. Add those numbers up. 36, 23, 86, 126. And I get 271. And then remember, to go from this number to a percent, I need to take that out of my total. So 271 divided by my 690 and then multiply by 100. And I should get 39.3%. Okay. All right. So the moral of the story is start with what you know. Start with what you have for sure. Okay. Whether it's giving you the part where they all intersect or the specifics, whatever they're giving you first, start with that and then work your way backwards, realizing that this whole circle are smokers. This is smokers only. This part contains smokers and cholesterol. This is smokers and high blood pressure. Okay. And then this is all three. This is where all three of them meet. So just understanding how those circles interact with each other is key to this section. All right, that's all I have for you on this section. I don't know what happened to the discussion questions there. But as always, make sure that you are writing down and emailing me any questions, comments, or concerns that you have. I understand that this was a lot of information to take in, and it's kind of hard to do it on a video without going back and forth, swooping the screen up and down, and making you dizzy. So I hope that you guys understood. Once again, you can always pause the video, work your way through it, and then press play to see what that final answer is. I hope everybody is taking care of themselves. And I will see you. Well, I guess I won't see you guys in the next video, but we'll have another video coming up for chapter 3. This is the end of section 2. So make sure you're getting that homework done. And that's it. Take care, guys.